Welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, December 14th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? We are starting our day off with today with our Two of Cups in its upright, in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. Well, it's a retrograde. I'm not surprised to see these cards together. Let's talk about it. So, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, it's navigate. Like, listen, the watchword right now in the retrograde is navigating frustration, right? This is heavy. And a lot of this, and we've been seeing this coming through right now, working through those feelings of energetic unfairness, right? Like working through a lot of those imbalances. But I need to stress this, okay? When you, like, now is not the time to be matching energy, okay? Like, I'm going to just tell you right now, I don't care who started it, okay? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who started it. I don't want to hear it from any of you. I don't want to hear anybody saying, no. Don't move off of your own path work because you're experiencing something that feels like it's energetically not in alignment to you, right? Like you can observe it. You can recognize it. You can navigate those frustrations because, again, that ability of working through energetic frustration and holding in the space of one's own integrity. I see even now, like that's a lot of that work that feels difficult, you know? It's not easy to facilitate through modalities of that nature. But again, when we feel that feeling of frustration, remembering it is our choice in relationality to identifying and recognizing what feels like it is in alignment to us versus what is oppositional. Now, this is having a different impact on all of the frequencies. For a lot of the energy in separation right now, I want to say, and this is what I mean, like this is the hardest right now for the energy deep within divine union, because what we're seeing right now for the energy in separation, there's something profoundly restorative that's happening in the observation of navigating something that feels like it wasn't necessarily fair, right? And why do we see even now for a lot of this energy in separation, there's just this massive amount of healing that's coming through. And that's because if these are the energies that are working on that sensor, that this is where we left the reading off yesterday, that ability of saying to someone like, I'm moving slowly towards you because I've been hurt in the past, right? This is not the energy that takes something personally, right? This is the energy that gets it. This is the energy that says, I understand, right? I have been hurt too. So we see even now what's really beautiful for some of these new energetic connections that are happening right now in separation. It's like I can see and feel all of that anxiety and trepidation that arises, right? Like the retrograde, and you know, like that's the difficulty with the retrograde. Like the retrograde, often we have that feeling, the past that looms over, that heavy shadow that says nothing is ever going to change. And when we look back towards those experiences and say they will change because that was not the rule, that was the exception to the rule. This is the energy that in the articulation of that, they're giving each other the benefit of the doubt, right? And that doesn't mean they're just moving forward with blind faith that everything is going to be perfect, right? There's the recognition that perfection is a myth, right? Perfection is an ideal that we reach for, but we create perfection within our lives, right? In the journey of moving towards it. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy facilitating forward in that way, building into that place of balance, this is the energy that's creating these new partnerships and recognizing it's the same message that we saw over the last few days, which is I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here, right? Because these are the energies that are giving each other the authenticity of the self that is allowing for that trust to be reformed. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, this is that same energetic equivalent that we're seeing here, because these are those partnerships that we see that are being forged right now. And it's not easy, right? I can see even now a lot of energy moving something into a deepening energetic connection and saying to themselves, this isn't what I expected it to feel like, right? That juxtaposition about recognizing it's the same lesson, that perfect is not something that we walk into. Perfect is something that we create. So we see even now, if these are energies that are moving deeper into partnership and they're experiencing something outside of partnership that feels like it's energetically imbalanced, navigating that turbulence together, this is more of that same energy that, doesn't see that, like, works in that way of trying to articulate the sacredness of their partnership. Not one that is being done so much to the extent for effect, but almost helping and trying to ease that point of compassion as it relates to any of the imbalances that may be experienced outside of it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within divine union, this is why this period right now could be feeling very, very personal, right? Because a lot of this work that we see has a lot to do with navigating intentionality versus the expectations of others. And so we see even now that for masculine and feminine, being in that modality of feeling that frustration, like when we're working through, even when we're doing our best to please all of those around us, like that moment or that experience, it says like, it's impossible, right? It's like impossible to come into that experience where everything is always in that space of being pleased. But what do we see that the energy within divine union is offering towards one another? That sense of saying, you don't need to be perfect to be perfect. And I know that sounds counter-oppositional, but why is the energy saying you don't need to be perfect because you are perfect? Because this is the energy that appreciates and understands that when we're moving towards perfection, we find perfection by recognizing imperfection, right? Like the way you find perfection is by constantly finding imperfection. So this is the energy that says to one another, your gift is that you are hard on yourself because you know yourself so much. You hold yourself to such a high standard that you constantly see the imperfections of the self on that journey. And that's why the energy says to one another as they continue forward in that way, remember that you are perfect in that journey of finding imperfections within the self. Center card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Temperance card in its reversal, right? So this is the energy that effectively, with deep within divine union, that navigates those feelings of being hard on themselves, working through that, like feeling those experiences. And this is what I mean. Like the thing that's difficult right now for energy deep within divine union is navigating forward. And like, this is that hyper, like, I just got to tell you, like, it's that hypersensitivity that often can create a little bit of energetic volatility. Because even here, I see that this is the energy that gets frustrated at themselves in such a way. But what is but this is the thing that's important. This is the energy that even in that frustration recognizes and realizes it and doesn't take it personally, right? That's that identification point in terms of saying to one another, like, I understand when you get frustrated because you're holding yourself to a high standard. So again, and a lot of this even now, working through that, and this is why it's a bit harder, and this is like for the energy coming into divine union, there's a lot of this work right now where this intensity may be a little bit more difficult today for energy coming into divine union, Because, and I need to point this out, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, we see that that ability to articulate and amplify and tell someone the sacredness of a partnership is such that, again, when someone is in that modality of experiencing and recognizing it, it feels like telling someone, giving someone that modality of information. If there's that feeling that it doesn't ease it, if you will, like this is why we were talking or having those conversations, that when you're moving with a sense of purpose and you experience turbulence, you're able to try to ease something to a certain extent, but not go beyond that. Because this is a lot of the energy I see going into moving into divine union, that's articulating to another and saying, like there's a portion of compassion that one feels in relationality to trying to ease another person's like frustrations or concerns or disappointments, but only to like a particular extent, right? Because that is the energy that articulates and says that that is how one holds something sacredly. You allow for a level or degree of compassion, but there's also like an energetic limit, right? So we see even now that there's a lot of that work in those experiences, and it requires that sense of like adaptability, but also resilience. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, I see even now there's some new, beautiful new connections that are forming. But there's also a lot of grief and frustration that is being released in the process. Why do we see a lot of this grief and frustration that's being released in the process of forging these new connections right now? Because if these are energies that are feeling the integrity and the sacredness through which another is being respective of their path work, closure comes in many forms. And I see even now there's some energy that are building new connections, and the new connections are creating the closure in the past because the recognition of what that feels like, right? Building into that ability of receiving consistency. It's like the moment you receive consistency in such a way, this is resolving anything that was open-ended in the past, right? Like it's just that clarity that comes forward. So we see this, like we see this even now, like this is the energy that's like, you know, like, and there's frustration there, right? Because there's frustration in the recognition of what you received that you could change within the self versus what was outside of the self, right? Fourth and fifth card, and so I see even now, like it's bittersweet. Like a lot of these new connections that are being created, they're bittersweet at this time. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today are, we have here our Sun card in combination with our Empress card in its reversal. Now, this is important. This card should look familiar. You'll remember and recall that this Sun card, this is the energy that we saw that we ended our reading with yesterday. This was our final card. Now, it's interesting that we have this now in the top of our row, because this says this is a continuation of yesterday's reading. And this, it feels to me that this is today is navigating through frustrations to a certain extent, and it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy today, this is, I want to say, this is a lot of work that is being navigated in a lot of that same lesson that we spoke about. Recognizing and identifying, like I see even now, this is a lot of the feminine energy saying, I'm not perfect, but embracing and loving themselves in that state of imperfection. Like this is really beautiful, because again, this is the feminine, and this is for feminine energy and separation, you know, coming into that modality of healing by someone that seems to be appreciative of like recognizing all of feminine's facets. This is the masculine energy in a state of healing that says to feminine, you know, I'm not here for perfection either. I'm not looking at you to try to fix something in my life. I'm looking in terms of recognizing and identifying, creating that sense of joy together. There's something really beautiful that I see that's happening right now in these new connections that are forming in separation. For masculine, this feels more like an internal, like this feels like more internal work, because this is the masculine energy that is continuing to go through that process of recognizing what are the emotions of the egoic self versus what are the emotions of the higher self, and understanding and recognizing that. I see even now, this is the masculine that is learning to articulate upon that, not projecting it outwards. So this is I see like energy and separation that's already healing together, like even as they're coming towards one another. So this is very powerful stuff. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of this that we see that is coming into divine union right now, this is why this may be feeling more energetically frustrating, because it's saying to me that for the energy coming into divine union, that clarification in terms of what feels like it's being brought towards you, that feels like it is restorative, versus what feels like it's coming towards you that feels like it is not energetically helpful, right? It just feels like a continuation of turbulence. This is the energy that is recognizing and identifying what feels like it is supportive to partnership versus what feels like it is oppositional towards it. And that's why we see that the energy is working with that sense of giving another the benefit of a doubt, trying to help someone understand the sacredness of those bonds, but only to an extent, right? Because when you're trying to articulate to someone what that sense of sacredness is that you share with another, like, there's only so much you can say, and so I see even now, like, there's a little bit of that energy that is getting clarification on energetic turbulence, but you'll understand and recognize, you see this isn't the energy chasing after the turbulence to try to figure out the source of it. This is the energy that just observes it and continues forward, because that is the directionality that it is going. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within divine union, this is why we see that for so much of this energy deep within divine union right now, this is a lot of those, like, working through one's own doubts, one's own fears, one's own frustrations. But again, when we are in a place of healthy consideration, we don't project those outwards, right? We introspect upon them. So that's what I see is happening right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. It's articulating through those frustrations to be able to find breakthroughs. Remember, I told you, this is the Mercury retrograde that allows for the overcoming of obstacles, but it can be so hard because first you got to recognize what the heck the obstacle is, right? And when you recognize what the obstacle is, you're like, it wants to create, like, it's annoying, But these are the energies that say to one another, I'm here with you. Like, you're not experiencing that alone. I'm here with you every step of the way, right? This isn't the energy that's trying to put their problems on each other. This is the energy that says, I'm going to stand by your side as we navigate those together. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Cups and its upright in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. Like, this is the thing with the Two of Pentacles here and its upright. Masculine and feminine are both feeling it, like, they're both feeling this right now. That's what's hard about it. It's like the energy is both going through those experiences, and not projecting them onto one another is really important, right? That ability of experiencing something and feeling like it's energetically unfair. This is why we articulate upon them. Because the ability to articulate upon them allows for the ability to fix something, right? It allows for that ability of something coming together. But there's a lot of, like, I want to say, there's a lot of this, like, like observation or articulation that's happening right now for energy deep within divine union, as it relates to like how to, like, what feels like it is productive. But these are the energies that even as they forge forward in that way, it allows for breakthroughs. So this is beautiful. This is still a lot of that same sense. Don't take, if you're working through something right now, I don't want you to over internalize it. I want you to stay practical on it. I don't want you taking anything personally right now. I really don't. Like, these retrogrades, they can feel very personal, but don't take something personally. Just let yourself become productive through it. Continuing to get clarification between, for the energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's, and I know I just said that, but this is why this could feel personal. You understand, this is why it could feel personal for energy right now experiencing this, as they're trying to move something into like deepening connection. Because if this is the energy that's experiencing turbulence as they try to move something deeper into partnership, that observation as to whether someone is articulating something from a point of genuine care, especially if they notice that some of these partnerships were in a state of repair at some point, because we did see that some of these energies were trying to heal something since like the eclipse season, versus energy that feels like that frustration because it feels like they're taking pathwork personally. This is the energy that just kind of separates that. Like, this is a sorting. Like, this is the energy that goes, okay, now I understand and recognize, because it allows for that state or that space of identifying what feels like it is productive versus what feels like it is oppositional. So that is the energy that, like, if it feels personal, that's because there's an observation in relationality to what the intentionality is. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is why this feels more restorative at this time, because receiving something in a way that is consistent, seeing trepidation instead of hesitation, this is the energy that's building closure on the past via the recognition of what that consistency feels like. And when you receive something in a way that you haven't before, like, this is the energy that goes, I can see the difference, right? It's not allowing the shadow of the past to loom over the present. This is the energy that says, no, I can see the difference. These are different things that are happening, even if they look similar, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Justice card in its reversal in combination with our Temperance card in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. So for a lot of this energy right now, a lot of this energy in separation, it's, I have to say, for a lot of the energy in separation right now, I can kind of see the energy being like, what is happening? Like, there's, I can see the energy going like, what is happening? And it's, like, and this is a lot of the energy in separation that, again, it's like when you're working through something in that way, I just see that this is the energy that's like releasing a lot of those experiences from the past, because it's like, I just see even now that the clarity, like how easy it can be, right? How easy it can be to have something energetically consistent when you put your mind to it, right? The mindfulness of someone coming towards you from a space of mindfulness. Like, this is the energy I just see, like, this is the energy going, I can never go back. Right? This is the energy that goes, I can never go back, because this is that further amplification, if you will, in recognizing and identifying what that feels like, because these are the energies that are creating it, creating it together, right? And it's like a little bit of that sense of easement, if you will. Like, this is the energy that says, look how easy, like, the gift that we give each other is the easement that we create for one another, right? Because I see like a lot of that energy is like, and in the moment that they start to receive that, like the moment they start to receive that consistency, like the moment they start to receive that easement from another, it just weighs into the context of them saying, like, that's the energy that immediately clears from the past in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, and I like, and that's why I see for a lot of the energy right, it's like it's that easy. Like that I literally see energy going, that it's just, yeah, someone being like, well, yeah, we just want the same thing. And like that easement, like someone not taking something personally, being like, I understand. Yeah, of course. We have to be respectful of where we are to each are, like giving each other that space, that time. Like immediately the energy is just like, and everything. And so even now, but that's why it feels like it's a lot, because I see the energy in separation, looking at something from the past in a different way. While for masculine and feminine energy that's coming into divine union, I'm just recognizing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, like even if there's I need to stress this, there may even be a point of conflict that may be occurring as it relates to the intentionality of anything creating turbulence, right? But that experience, that recognition, like that's why I see even now like the energy kind of like putting their hands up to a certain extent, right? Because when you're moving, like when you're moving with integrity into partnership, like you don't move into partnership for effect, like effect with an E. You move into partnership for effect with an A. This is the energy. I can see the energy articulating as they're moving into divine union, trying to articulate to someone and saying, this is not something we are doing for effect. This is not something that is being created to be able to see what happens around something. This is the energy that says, effect is one that you say, it's already happened. We're already in that state of energetic healing. It's affected us. We move in this way because it is something that exists between us. We are affected by it. That is what we feel. The love that we create, the healthy love we create, affects us in profound ways. So I can see even now, this is the energy that is articulating both to themselves and to others the disambiguation point between someone saying they think I'm doing this for effect versus energy saying they don't understand that I am affected by it, right? So even there, even as navigating some of that discordancy as they move deeper into partnership, these are the energies that are holding on to one another even more so because they're recognizing the sacredness of what they feel for one another and the frustration they have in trying to communicate that to anything outside of divine union. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, this is not getting frustrated with the self. This is the energy that feels frustrated because they're not in that modality of perfection. But this is the energy that reaffirms to one another in that journey and says, our job is not to be perfect. Our job is to move towards perfection, right? And if you feel hard on yourself in doing so, you're probably doing something right? Because you care. It's not like you're just releasing all responsibility, right? When you're moving with intentionality, you put a lot of care in everything that you do because that observation of the significance of path work, this is the energy that doesn't just like let something go. This is the energy that ruminates upon things. This is the energy that concentrates upon things because this is the energy that recognizes that that journey is valuable and sacred. So there's a lot of this energy right now that is very observational in relationality to the sacredness of their path work. And so even here, it's difficult because this is the energy navigating the sacredness of their path work in relationality to balancing the needs of the energy around them, right? And that's hard. And we often feel in those moments, like we can feel awful in those moments or those modalities when others take those points personally. But that's when we allow our own intentionality to guide us forward. And so I see even now, this is the energy within divine union offering that opportunity of clarity via seeing and working with counterpart and saying, I identify that. I see what that intentionality is. Continuing to get clarification between our temperance card in its reversal in combination with our sun card in its upright. One card to clarify. We got our star card in its upright. So these two cards should look pretty familiar. They should look familiar because we had them yesterday. Now you will recall yesterday we had our star card and the Empress in its upright, right? So this is a lot of that work that's hard because like for feminine energy, this is the feminine energy feeling that sense of struggle between I want to say like the head and the heart space right now, right? Purpose and the heart space. So and this is a lot of the feminine energy resolving and navigating their own sense of compassion, right? This is some heavy healing that's happening right now for feminine. And I can see a lot of the feminine energy, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, like navigating that space of their own heart. So, and this is what so this is really important right now. Okay. So as we articulated, masculine is doing a lot of work in recognizing the difference between the emotions that come up from the egoic self, right? The demanding emotions. Emotions are like, I want what I want now, like a little toddler, versus the higher self emotions, which are the emotions that say, I feel a lot because it's important, right? The sacred emotions that say, I have an expansive emotionality because it is something that is sacred, versus the feminine that is going through the emotionality, the same journey, but the difficulty of the feminine has to do with pathwork of purpose versus compassion, right? This is the feminine that's wrestling with the same thing that the masculine is, but the feminine's egoic nature is one that often strikes from the space of compassion. That is the feminine that wants to be expansive, wants to be able to stretch out, wants to be able to do everything for everyone, but recognizes and says, but the only way I can be focused, the only way I can move in that pathwork of determination is if I navigate in such a way and recognizing that that compassion is such that the compassion also needs to come back to the self, right? So this is a lot of the feminine working through their compassionate space in relationality of saying that modality of working to please others, it also needs to be the same level and degree of compassion must first arrive back to the feminine as well. And I can see even now this is hard because for feminine it feels somewhat heartbreaking as feminine is healing, because a lot of that feminine energy almost feels like they have to come into that modality of apology, if you will, as they do that, specifically and particularly by articulating to others and saying, recognize I'm not trying to do something in a way of making you feel like that's something to take personally, but this is the energy that says that in doing what is best, sometimes I have to regulate how my heart feels about those things, right? So we see even now like that's difficult. Both of these energies that are becoming stronger, but in that path work, it's a lot of wrestling with the self in the process. Continuing to get clarification between our Sun card in combination with our Empress card in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Pentacles in its upright. So for masculine, like, and for do you see this? Like, this is it. This is what we see even now. This is what is allowing so many of these connections right now to heal, right? Because this is the feminine that says, and in the moment that the feminine almost like expresses the emotions and the trepidation, right? This is the feminine that articulates the trepidation to the masculine in separation and says, listen, I would love to move forward in this way, but, you know, I'm healing. I'm in a space of recovery. Is this the masculine that demands trust? No, this is the masculine that says, oh, I understand. Like this is the masculine saying, your feelings are intrinsic and important. Why is the masculine that's healing saying that? Because this is the masculine that's on the journey of the self that says, I myself am currently going through a journey of navigating what those intrinsic important feelings are, like what those higher self feelings are versus the egoic self. So we see even now that these are the energies that heal in the modality of doing so, specifically by articulating that. And so we see a lot of those healthy connections that are forming. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy is articulating and speaking upon towards those around them the sacredness of that energetic connection. and in the amplification and articulation of the sanctity of the connection, this is the energy that's potentially clarifying, particularly in the realm of any of the energetic turbulence that they're experiencing. That again, when we articulate that something is sacred, what we basically say is we're not doing it for effect, we're doing it because we are affected by it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, I just see that a lot of this energy deep within divine union at this time, like this is why so much of this here feels more internally frustrating, because this is the energy within divine union that gets frustrated with the self, right? This is the energy that looks towards the self and says, I'm not perfect yet. And what is the healthy counterpart saying? Again, our job isn't to be perfect. Our job is to try to move towards perfection. And if we find flaws in that journey, it's not because we ourselves are flawed. It's because we always perfection is an aspiration that is never achievable, right? It is a dream. Perfection is a dream, and a dream is always something that is out of reach. So we heal by recognizing and giving ourselves peace by saying it is a dream. The reason a dream is healthy is because a dream is something that you reach for, and you become better on the journey of trying to reach for it, but you never fully grasp it, right? So we see even now that this is the conversation that the energy is having right now towards one another and saying, you are perfect in your imperfection, which doesn't mean you're perfect, just don't do anything, right? Like it doesn't mean just like be stagnant. It means continue to try to reach for that aspect of the higher self, because in the journey of finding that self, you become that self. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Ten of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Right? There's a like it's like there's a lot of emotion, like it's a heavy emotion day. If you're I got to tell you right now, I'm just going to warn you, if you feel really emotional, for today, like better out than in, right? Because like a lot of that release, like a lot of that work, like I just see that this is the energy that it's and it has to do with the retrograde, feeling somewhat stretched too thin, right? We saw a lot of the heavy 5 energy the other day, right? Like that modality of navigating and feeling that energetic stretch point. It sometimes can create those experiences of and we talked about this yesterday in our reading, surrender, right? And I need to clarify this. We're not talking about surrender, right? Like again, we're not talking about surrender like I give up, not that type of surrender. We're talking about surrender in the sense of saying, I need to let go of the expected outcome and just move with intentionality. If it's like, I see a lot of this energy, a lot of these retrograde messages, like, and this is a little bit of that, like I told you, this is that Mars in retrograde being like, nothing you do is ever going to be the way you hope it's going to be. Whatever you're trying to do is not going to be the way you expect it to. So what, and in that moment of saying that, you can either put your head down and say, nothing I do will ever be right, or say, I can let go of the outcome. I cannot determine the way that will navigate. But what happens in that moment, that's not a moment that you say don't do anything. It's the moment that you focus and concentrate on yourself and say, I guess I better move with intention at this moment. I better just let go of the consequence, let go of the outcome, and think right now about the present. So that act of energetic surrender, it doesn't mean just like don't care. It means care profoundly, right? Care profoundly on the moment, because you cannot do anything about the past. You can't foresee how your actions will affect the future, but there's one thing that you have intentionality towards, and it is in this particular moment. So be very intentional in those moments. So this is a lot of that lesson that we see that is coming through right now as it relates to, it's not the surrender of surrender. It is the energetic surrender of focus into intentionality of purpose. Continuing to get clarification. And that's across all, and this is how the energy right now in separation is building trust. This is the energy saying, I don't know if I can trust you. And someone saying, I don't know if I can trust you, right? Like that's the energy saying, oh yeah, you're right. Like that's the way, that is the condition. But our intentionality, that sacredness is how we heal it, right? And for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, the energy going, I didn't expect it to feel like this. I didn't expect to have the volatility around us as we move something deeper. And this is the energy that says, I can't control what occurs. I know what is energetically sacred. And then for the energy deep within divine union, this is the energy being hard on themselves and saying, nothing I do, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and the energy going, don't worry about what's going to happen. Just be the person that you need to be. Be the person you need to be right now. Be intentional in this moment. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our star card and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Wands in its reversal. So, like a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, you know, working through this to a certain extent. You know, this is exactly what we've been articulating upon in relationality to navigating those points of energetic perfection, right? This is like, and I need to stress this because this is really important, especially for feminine right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I just see that a lot of the feminine, like this is a lot of the feminine kind of shedding and working through a lot of those, like those outside demands, right, of the self. Because when we hit, do you see, like this is more of that continuation I see right now of feminine navigating disappointment, right? Navigating those energetic disappointments of those around them. But is this the feminine energy that over internalizes that disappointment? Is this the feminine energy that says, I'm disappointing everyone around me, I guess I'm never going to be good enough? No. This is a feminine energy that says, when I'm on the pathwork of purpose, I better be ready to disappoint others around me in relationality to their expectations of me, right? Because that ability of not feeling like one needs to like fit the mold that another aspires you to be in, this is what allows the feminine to figure out who they truly are. And so there's a lot of the energy of the feminine right now that is holding their journey sacred. And for a lot of the masculine coming towards feminine, doing this same work, navigating and recognizing, this is not the masculine that says, I have to divorce myself from my emotions. This is the masculine that says, I need to sort my emotionality between what is my higher self, the emotions that rise up because they're protecting something energetically sacred, versus the emotions of the self, that greedy child energy that wants what it wants, when it wants it now, and it has to be this way. When we allow the emotions to guide us, we close our eyes to the possibilities of what could be. So that is a masculine that surrenders their perception of what it is that they desire. And in the moment of surrendering their perception of what they desire, they open their eyes to the possibilities around them. So we see even now that a lot of that energy facilitating forward in that fashion, it feels like I just see a lot of new partnerships that are blossoming in beautiful ways. And these are the energies in separation that are building trust in the process. While for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, navigating others' frustrations, but having that like force field around the partnership itself and saying that those are navigated to an extent, but they don't damage what you have together. This is the energy holding the partnership sacred, and it blossoms. While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, that sense or that space of feeling the weight of others, again, much like the energy in separation, saying, I'm never going to be what I aspire to be, because I'm always more moving towards it. And the higher self is never reached. It's always a bit beyond the self. Right? That's why it's the higher self. Like that's why it's the higher self. It's always higher. You get that, right? It's like you're never going to reach it. It's called a higher self for a reason. It's above, it's up there. Like, so we see even now for the energy going, I'm never going to be energetically perfect. You become energetically perfect because you're working in that space that you're trying to reach it. But you understand that that is the act of, that is the perfection point, right? It's in the reaching for it. It's not in the attaining of it. Continuing to get clarification between our star card in its upright in combination with our page of pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Pentacles. Imagine if you were perfect. Imagine if you were perfect. Because, and I can see a lot of this energy saying, I'm not perfect, but imagine you are. Imagine that in that striving of trying to become perfect, you are perfect. And this is the gift that the energy within divine union is articulating to each other. The energy saying to themselves, they're feeling that frustration. They're saying, I'm not perfect. And the energy saying, I see you as perfect. Because this is the energy that says, I see that journey of you trying to strive to be your highest self. And it's clumsy. It's a clumsy journey. We trip, we fall. We don't, it's not, it doesn't require that perfection, but it's in that journey of doing so, right? It's in that space that this is the energy that says, I adore you because I see who you are and who you strive to be. And that is the energy that says it doesn't look towards one another and say, I require you to fill a role. This is the energy that says it is beautiful to see you as you are constantly in the presence or the state of your becoming. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, this is the energy that is articulating to others around them and saying, we're not moving something deeper in for effect. We're not articulating and telling something to another for the sake of changing what we're moving towards. This is the energy saying, we are articulating the fact that we have found something that is sacred between us. And even though we're bringing it into the tangible, it already exists, right? This is the energy saying, this isn't something that is changing. This is something that we're just showing you in a more tangible way. So a lot of this energy already moving deeper into divine union because it's the energy that says, I'm already there. Like, it's already there. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, amplifying and articulating upon that energetically, we see even now that for so much of that energy in separation, you can see this, look at this. These are the energies coming towards one another and they're terrified. Look at this. Look at the energy in separation right now. If you're feeling this, I get it. This is the energy looking and saying, I must be a loon. I got to trust the thing that got me here. This is the energy going, I got to trust the thing that got me here. The thing that got me here. Like there's a lot of this energy. It's going, you want me to trust that? You want me to trust the thing that got, yes, I want you to trust, right? Because when we do the same thing, right? When we do the same thing and our intentionality is true, you are not the same person. And sometimes we do the same thing because we give the universe the opportunity to say to us, now I'm going to show you what would have happened with someone that shared your intentionality. Now I get to show you what would have happened with someone that truly desired the same things as you. Now I get to show you what happened. And that's why we don't allow the past to change us in ways that we don't desire it to. We allow it to bring us closer to ourselves, right? It's looking back at the past that hurt us that says you better change because that's going to happen again. But when we're moving with intentionality, we say, no, that was not the rule. That was the exception to the rule. Again, I'm not surprised. I did not expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here because even here, energy is recognizing and they're starting to have that trust reformed and it's creating stabilization, but it's also very triggering because it's helping the energy recognize the difference between what they could have changed versus what they experienced. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our King of Pentacles in its upright. So, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, I mean, this is, I want to say, like, this is a lot of this. This is why I see a lot of new energetic connections that are happening right now during this time that feel like they're very grounded in stability, and they're very grounded in being clear. There's no illusions here, right? For feminine energy, I see that there's a lot of the feminine energy articulating from a place of openness, holding those energetic boundaries, and the masculine energy that is on the same healing journey, appreciating feminine in that way, right? Because these are the energies that are not just moving towards one another with a sense of like, oh, let's just like see what'll happen. This is the energy that is being very precious about what they're creating together. And it's slow, right? But that stability is such that it feels very energetically supporting. It feels like it's creating, like this is the energy that is building trust in the process. And for masculine, that ability of articulating through, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that ability of sorting through the emotions that feel like they are the demanding, like the eagerness, but again, letting one's intentionality guide forth. This is the masculine that's learning to articulate to feminine upon how they are feeling. And that ability of articulating through in such a way, there's just like, I just see like a lot of this stability that's happening right now as it relates to these connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is the energy that is articulating to those around them the sacredness of those bonds, right? And that modality or that experience of saying to another, you know, and that's why we see even now when someone says, I am sorry you feel that way, that isn't someone being like disregarding of another's emotionality. That is the energy that articulates to another and says, recognize that the intentionality was not such to create energetic effect. But I'm sorry that you're being affected by it, right? While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, I just want to say that working and recognizing and facilitating upon that work, it's not necessarily easy. I just see even now that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, that frustration with one's own self, this is how each other heal, because they look towards one another and say, again, you are beautiful the way that you are, but you're also beautiful the way that you are because you always feel that you're not, right? Like this is the energy, like this isn't the energy saying like be bad, feel sorry for yourself. This is the energy that says that in that journey of perfection, we are going to always find ourselves lacking. And that is what is beautiful about that path work. Right? Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Swords in its upright. So this is, I want to say there's a lot of this work that we're seeing right now. Deep within divine union, in relationality to, I mean, across all of the frequencies, a lot of closure that is occurring at this time. And I want to say even now that there's something really significant and important about that work towards closure. Because for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, you know, navigating forward in such a way, this is the energy that articulates and says, you know, what that feels like, understanding and working through that to a certain extent. It allows for that ability of saying to each other that how one works through those disappointments and those challenges, these are the energies that say to each other that it's not, it's like, it's how you, like, this is, remember what I said, that a lot of this work right now within divine union, or across like this frequent, like across this retrograde, was recognizing and understanding the energetic obstacle. This is the recognition of the energetic obstacle. But the beauty of understanding an obstacle is it gives you the ability to facilitate and recognize how to navigate through it, right? So even here, this is the energy that says, don't get frustrated. Don't get hard on yourself. Get practical, right? Get focused, like get tangible, because this is the energy that says like how one carries it. And this is why I say even today, like there's a little bit of that overwhelm and then like a little bit of that like stability, because feeling that sense of frustration, it's basically saying like, look, you know, you now, and like now you see what the energetic hill is, like let that be that point of understanding like what one needs to do to overcome it. So for masculine and for masculine and feminine that is coming into divine union, this is why we see that this may be more of a bittersweet moment at this time, because for a lot of this energy right now that is coming into divine union right now, this is the energetic equivalent of understanding when you're coming forward to someone and you're explaining what something means to you, right? The recognition of another in experiencing it as such, like this is what feels like it is clarifying, because I see even now, like this is the energy that recognizes as they move deeper into divine union, what feels like it is supportive to that forming, versus what feels like it is separated from it because it's not moving in the direction that they desire it to be. So we see even now, like navigating that frustration, it's bittersweet, but it isn't changing the directionality of the energy moving deeper within it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep, like in separation, this is a lot of the past closing. This is the closing out of energetic cycles from the past. Because again, closure comes in many forms. So for a lot of the energy, like I told you, this is the energy going like, trust, you want me to trust the thing that did this? Yes. Like this is the energy that says it feels like, this is the energy saying like, it feels like healing trust almost feels like you're moving towards your doom, right? Because it's the energy being like, this is what caused the problem. And like, this is what hurt me in the first place. But yes, that is how we heal. We need to trust one another in that space. Because again, like that ability of looking back towards the past and having the difference between looking at the past and saying, I'm not going to let you define me. I'm going to let you refine me. It's not that I'm going to go forward with blind faith. I'm going to let those lessons energetically guide me. This is why we hold the past with an open palm. Because why? When we hold on to it too tightly, it creates bitterness. When we let go of it entirely, we lose the energetic lessons, the ability to hold the past with an open palm. This is the energy that looks at it and says, I'm not afraid of you. This is the energy that heals by looking back on their past and saying, I refuse to be afraid of you. I refuse to allow that fear to guide me. And so in that modality of doing so, they are immediately able to start to restore that energetic trust in the process. Final card for today's spread between our Knight of Pentacles in its upright and our Ten of Swords. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Swords in its upright. So, for masculine and feminine energy right now, I want to say, okay, so this is beautiful, because like for a lot of this energy right now, for energy in separation, this is the reminder that we heal by being brave. And heal, and being brave is scary stuff, right? It's scary. Being brave is not what you do when you have absolute confidence. And you know, we're going to get into this when we study the strength card in our class next Wednesday. You know, strength, the amplification of strength, is what you do in the face of navigating uncertainty. So we see even now there's a lot of energy that's healing those bonds of trust, and it's anxiety inducing, because this is the energy saying, I cannot predetermine what the future holds, but I can be intentional in relationality to what I desire to occur, right? So this is a lot of that energy in separation, allowing that intentionality to guide them forward. And that's happening for both masculine and feminine. And I just want to show you this, right? Look at these energies right now. Look at these energies in separation. This is the energy that is looking in separation to the past and saying, you were not the rule. You were the energetic exception to the rule. And in that moment of doing so, they immediately heal in the process, because they don't move in accordance with what the past makes them fear. They move in accordance with what they know their intentionality desires. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy, again, navigating that energetic turbulence. It's not tearing them apart. This isn't energy trying to get to the source of why someone is feeling oppositional towards partnership. This is the energy that says they must not necessarily recognize that something we hold is sacred. And that and this is the energy saying, regardless of the reasons why, it doesn't necessarily change our direction. And this is why the energy is saying to those that feel that way, I'm sorry that you feel that way, and offering that point of clarification, moving deeper into divine union in the process. While for a lot of the energy right now that is deep within divine union, a lot of this energy that is deep within divine union right now, this is the energy that feels really hard on the self, right? This is a lot of the energy right now that is feeling really hard on the self. This is the energy that feels that frustration and saying, nothing I do, right? Like it feels like that energy saying, I'm working in that space. It feels like I'm disappointing everyone in the process. Go for it, right? When we're moving in that pathwork, when we're moving on a pathwork of purpose, it usually feels like you're disappointing everyone in the process of doing so, right? But this is the energy that says that they're not in that space of looking to themselves and saying, I'm a disappointment to everyone around me. This is the energy that articulates and says to one another that when we know ourselves and we move forward on that pathwork, we say to others as they feel like that, I'm sorry you feel that way. Because this is the energy saying, I'm not moving in a modality to try to disappoint you. I'm moving on the pathwork of my higher purpose. And again, much like we see for the energy coming into divine union, you navigate that with a sense of saying, again, I'm sorry, it wasn't necessarily my intentionality, but recognize that there is an intentionality, there is a higher intention there, right? So we see even now these are the energies that feel that, and they hold each other as they navigate that journey. Bottom of the deck on this reading is our Four of Wands in its reversal. Now, for a lot, like this is a lot of that uncertainty as it relates to like the future, right? We're just going to talk about it. It's so difficult, right? Because again, the way we find our path is not by looking for it. It's by moving with intentionality, right? So even here, like a lot of facilitating forward in that way, it's requiring a lot of that sense of, and this is why this retrograde is feeling so heavy, because again, with the combination of the Mars retrograde with the Mercury, it's very easy to want to move in the directionality that the fear desires, right? The fear is like, you better do this, you better do this, you better do like the fear wants to be like, it's like woo, it's like a lot of that type of energy. But what do we say to our fear? It's not that fear isn't healthy, right? Much like we spoke about with the emotions, the fear that is healthy is the fear that is actionable insofar as it doesn't move us off of our own intentionality, right? So we see even now that ability of doing so, looking towards those moments of anxiety and saying, you get out of here. You don't have any power here. No, thank you. Right? This is the energy that you look back in the past and say, I'm not going to navigate the world in such a way that I navigate that. Like that is the energy that says, I'm not going to be able to work through all of those anxiety points, but our intentionality is such that when we're moving with intentionality, then we're okay regardless of that outcome, right? We allow that intentionality to lead us forward. And sometimes it feels like we're moving in the dark. But again, if it feels like you're moving in the dark, maybe that's because you're the flashlight. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who attended our recent tarot class. Our next tarot class will be held on Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Strength card. I'm very excited to teach this class. The Strength card is a very fascinating card. It is one of the few cards in the tarot that has moved positions. So the numerology of that card is a bit in question, but we're going to get into all of that in the class. I'm also going to tell you a bit about the history and symbiology of that card. If you are interested in becoming a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is become a subscriber to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to the full library of Tarot Church classes. That is over 8 hours worth of material. It's not necessary to catch up. I will be giving a recap of the classes in each of the classes, but the material is there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone, regardless of your level. So I want to thank you so much if you're just joining us there for the first time. And also, if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, please make sure that you head over to our subscriber-only TikTok Discord channel. There you will find a special coupon code that will give you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. But even if you're not a subscriber, even if you're not a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there that'll let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to giveaway information. And speaking of giveaways, we have announced the winner of our November giveaway. Congratulations to our winner. If you would like to find out who that winner is, simply head over to my Substack. It'll be up in my newsletter. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute read classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again